Hello, everyone. I'm actually here this time for the reflections. My throat's feeling better. I can actually speak now, which is really exciting. I'm really disappointed I didn't get to be part of our first episode of Reflections, but I am here for the second episode of Reflections, where we sort of give you a behind the scenes look at how we, came up with ideas for the episodes, how the episode went, what stood out to us. So this week, today, here on Mother's Day, happy Mother's Day to all the beautiful moms out there. This is actually very timely. We're going to be talking about our caregivers episode, mothers, a caregiver, obviously. So we're just kind of going to talk about our process to coming up with this episode idea, how we found our lovely guest, Sandra Bradley, and, some of our takeaways from that. So if we want to bring in our co-producer, Cristal Legrand, and our host, we can get to talking all about it.
Hello.
Hello. We may be having a little technical difficulties, but we'll get that all sorted out. While we sort that stuff out, I kind of will just want to talk about, my hand in this. I usually, put together some of the promotional content and things like that. And so there were so many in looking back at the shows and thinking about what sort of message we want to bring across when, promoting this caregivers episode. I sort of wanted to give it sort of a slow it down from our usual promotions, and sort of give these caregivers an opportunity to just pause for just a minute, slow down, watch the promotion, and understand that there are people here for you. There are people to help. And so I hope that the slower pace of the promotion sort of got that message across, that it's okay to just take a minute, take a breath, focus on you. And then that way that you can not only be the best caregiver for those around you, but also be the best caregiver for yourself. And before we get too much into the weeds on things, I want, the people themselves who are part of the episode to talk about, what it was like bringing in the guests. Because I know Mom, the host, Camela Francis, is a caregiver herself and is a part of the caregiving group. So I'll just toss it over to her about, the process of putting that together and what this meant to her.
Hi. Happy Sunday. Happy Mother's Day. It has been a day. It's been a day. I'm doing 10,000 things today, and I'm literally out on quote unquote location after a Mother's Day luncheon. And I just came from doing a little part of the show. So I ran from that to come straight on. So I just want to say happy Mother's Day. Thanks for holding down the fort as usual, girls. So being a caregiver, I want to make sure that I have the right angle here. Um, it's because my dad and I have such a great relationship. That part makes it easier. But the fact that he is 97 years young and he is going on to his next era of youth.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to step in and help him along the way. And he loves to hold on to that independence. So it can sometimes be challenging, but it can be rewarding, especially if you and the person that you're taking care of has a good relationship. That definitely makes a difference. And I want to say that that part is good for me because he and I have such a great relationship. Um, I don't even know which way to turn in the camera.
I think you were fine where you are. Just
Okay. Um, Having Miss Bradley on the show, it gave me a perspective, sitting in on the Tuesday meetings made me think of if we just have this small group, it has to be more people that need support and is going through because at the end of the day, living in the Virgin Islands, it's an aging community. No matter how much we have persons that have a baby or whatever, at the end of the day, it's truly an aging community. And with that, we have to be mindful of who's there to take care of them, and what it is, what resources are out there to assist you, because everyone needs to live their life. Everyone needs to to do what needs to be done, and I know that I have my hand in 10,000 plus. I have my hand in 10,000 plus activities. So sometimes it can be a little challenging. And then I need to pause. And, my daughter always reminds me of, Mom, you need to do something for yourself. You need to take time for yourself. And that's one of the many things that this caregivers group reminds us of. You need to pause. You need to have conversations with other persons that's going through the same exact thing that you are. So, that makes a difference. So I'm glad that we had the opportunity to share. And I pray that with us showing the Virgin Islands that there is somewhere that you can have an outlet, there's an organization that will help you. And within the government that can help you, that people will take advantage of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that that was a really amazing conversation to be had, because lots of persons may not know what's available to them. And
Mm-hmm.
just knowing in general, that we are shedding light on what's available, but also being, as Kiana said, mindful that caregivers need to focus on themselves and have a discussion around what do I need as a caregiver myself. I'm not as
Yes.
hands-on, like with my mom, for instance, as other persons might need to be with their parents, but you know, just stepping into the role of a caregiver and understanding the self sacrifices that you make when you're taking over the care of your parent, while they also, as Camilla said, also want to retain their independence. So they're not your children. So balancing between having that conversation of, okay, these are the things you want to do, but these are the things you might not be able to do because you're, not as young as you hope to be, was a very interesting conversation. I think Miss Bradley was so right in many of the things that she shared around, you know, giving your person the options. So not just coming in to say, oh, you need to do this, this, and this, because they're not a child, but here are some of the options that you have, and this is what we can do, and allowing them to still be able to make some choices and keep their dignities and things like that. I really appreciated learning some of that, even from someone who is outside of the US Virgin Islands. Some of the things that I took away from her was really that, not coming in as, I know it all, this is what you need to do, and I know what's best for you, but allowing, your person to share and be a part of the decision making for their own life. Yeah.
Yes. And I like when you said that with the decision making, because, Kiana recently visited, and, I was like, give your grandfather this and let's
Just
put him in this. And she's like, well, why don't you ask him if that's what he wants to wear or that's what he wants? And I'm like, I don't have time for that. And she's like, well, wasn't that a part of the caregivers
Right.
the segment that, give them a choice to? And I was like, okay, Daddy, what it is that you want to wear? What is it that you want? So, you know, I do need to be mindful and remember that I need to be inclusive and include him. And I know he doesn't mind me, leading the way, but she's right to so we can continue to have that good rapport and that great relationship. I need to remember to continuously to include him in decision making. As simple as, do you want to wear this, or what would you like to wear?
Mhm. I was
So,
actually just gonna bring that up because I was like, and he ended up choosing the shirt that we both liked anyways.
yes, yes.
So I was like, it didn't hurt to just ask him, but I do know, first of all, I love my grandfather. I would like to preface that, love him down. But I would say that a lot of the times you ask him, oh, grandpa, what do you want to eat? Or what do you want to do? Or this, that. He said, whatever is all right. Whatever is
Yeah.
all
I
right.
know. Yeah,
And
he's
I was like,
so
that's not an answer. So I understand how it could be frustrating and how it's easy to just stop asking. but then you can kind of see the frustration on his face when he feels like he doesn't have a choice. And it's like, well, when we give you a choice, you don't want to answer.
Right.
But it's just because I think that's just the way he was raised. But that felt good to me that he did actually make a choice. So I'm like, okay,
Yes.
instead of asking broad questions about like what you want to do, something like Miss Bradley suggested is here are three shirt options, which is what we did. Which one do
Right.
you prefer? That
Correct.
way it
Yes.
makes it easier for them. They don't have to think about the whole plethora of things in their closet about what they can wear because that could be overwhelming. So I thought that was really nice. Also, something very interesting and important that I thought Miss Bradley brought up beyond the caregivers group is simply having a support system. I
Yes.
think people
Yeah.
like to think that, oh, this is my whoever, this is my child, this is my parent, this is my grandparent, this is my aunt, this is my uncle, this is my whoever, so I have to be the one to
Mm.
take care of them. And
Yes.
Mhm.
even if you want to be the main caretaker, that is fine. But I think it is necessary, not just okay, but necessary for you to open yourself up to
Yeah.
allow other people to step in. And they might not
Yes.
step in the way that you step in, but if it's a person in your life, you know their strengths, you know their weaknesses, you know, maybe I won't ask them to give him his medication because they're forgetful. But I know that this person is always out and whoever I care for likes to be out as well. Maybe they can spend the day together and get something to eat. And I give them their medication beforehand. Something like understanding the strengths and weaknesses of your tribe, of your community, and relying on them when you can't anymore, or even before it gets to the point that you can't anymore, I think is really important, not just in caregiving, but in general, because you can't do anything alone. But I feel like sometimes some people, I won't call any names, likes to do things on their own. And I understand why, but I was like, you can run yourself ragged. You have to
Yeah.
have
And I do. I can cough and admit when I am the guilty party. It's a good thing I can't really see here.
so
But
so
I am so the guilty party. I know you're talking about me.
I didn't say any
And
names.
you're right. And you're right. I do need to remember that I do have a tribe. I have, my brother comes and he's been helpful, by coming in the evenings while because I do go into work later, and I'm glad that I have that opportunity to go in later. So in the evenings, he makes sure that, whatever I prepare, it's warm, and daddy has a warm dinner. So he goes to my house and makes sure that that's done. And that is so helpful because before I literally would be leaving work to go home to heat up the food, to go back to the office if I needed to, or to go to the whatever meeting or whatever. And and he just stepped in, and I am so grateful for that.
Mhm.
So grateful.
Yeah, it
So
is
y'all
it
need
is.
to tell me when the camera's on me or not because I can't see anymore because the sun is
It's on you
literally
now. It was a little tilted before, but now we're back in business. Um,
okay.
so I understand like your personal connection with the caregivers group. Could you talk a little bit more about how you found out about the group, why what you've gotten out of the group, the support system?
Well, I was told about it by one of my adopted moms, and she told me, this is the organization that she used, and I needed to reach out. And I did reach out years back, and then I know, Daddy wants something to do, and I called the lady again, and I was like, believe it or not, I'm fine because I'm always fine. I
Yeah.
don't need this for me. I need something for him to do because he needs to stay busy. It's like, well, this is what it is that we offer. Maybe you could be a part of the group because there's some services that we provide. But in order to tell me when, as I said, when the camera's not on me
Hmm.
because I can't see.
Hmm.
When as you're a part of this group, we can afford you this service and that service, but you have to be a member. And I decided to, tune in. And initially, when I tuned in and I was listening to the conversations, and I could hear the ladies speak and they talk about what it is they're going through. And they had a couple in person evening events.
Hmm.
And I guess after COVID, they decided, or COVID or hurricane, I guess, they were having it telephonically, which is perfect for me because I can be at the office and do it. But the in person, they start at 5:30, so the in person wouldn't work for me. But it was nice to, you know, listen to people and their conversations and what they're going through, and their frustrations, and they're just letting it out. And as they're frustrated, this person chimes in and say, well, I had a similar situation and XYZ is what I did. And the other person said, well, maybe have you tried this or that? And that part was so good. And it was great to hear that, and it was good for me to just listen and hear what other persons are going through, that to know that one person says something and someone else has something, some gem to offer. And I was like, this is great, this is great. And I will say, I was like, I'm just going to listen and do my work so I can make sure that I do have my time in. But I do make the effort to not only listen in someone else that's now a new member. She depends on me to call her so I can, tap her into the call, because her phone can't get into the system, and she is a part of the group, but she can't get in because you have to be a part of the group to participate. You can't just say that I'm going to show up. They don't want that. So you have to be a part of the group. Right. So, so even as simple as that, I'm helping this caregiver take her break so she can listen in, because there may be a gem that she may need because her phone doesn't work well. So it's just so many avenues of a caregiver helping a caregiver and offering advice, offering some service and offering some release. And they do have activities that I'm not always able to attend, but the fact that they're there is helpful. It's helpful. So I will say that.
Okay. Cristal, what did you get out of the show the most? What was your process in this show?
I think so. My process in the show, of course, is on kind of pulling together some ideas and everything else. But I think even more so, listening in was the learning, the knowledge that Miss Bradley had, even in when Camela was sharing, sometimes people, they don't know the context to which what you're doing certain things or you're making certain decisions. Like outsiders will say, oh yeah, why you're talking this way, or why did you make this decision, and all these other outside noises. And her advice was just keep doing what you're doing, because you know why you're doing what you're doing. And I think a lot of times we want to please, even for me, like say we want to please our family. So I happen to have an experience where, I was in Martinique with my mom at, I was much younger back then, in my 20s. And the doctors said, she can go home and she can go back to the hotel, really. We were in Martinique at the time. So she can go back to the hotel because it's easier for her to rest in the hotel than it is here in the hospital. It's not necessary. Of course, I have a big family. My mom has 12 brothers and 12 sisters. No, 6 brothers and 6 sisters, so 12 of them. And so you can imagine the phone calls, and I have 2 older brothers. So me being 20-something, of course, everyone knows better, apparently. And everybody has an opinion about the care for my mom, even though I'm the one getting the direct message from the hospital and from the doctors. And we went home, whatever. We went to the hotel because the doctor said let her rest, in a comfortable space. But the amount of opinions from everybody on whether or not this was the right choice and whatever their thoughts were on the matter, it was kind of like annoying after a while, because you're doing a million phone calls and you're doing the same repeat thing. WhatsApp groups wasn't a thing back then, so
Right.
it wasn't like one announcement and then you get everybody getting the same message. You have to do these tons of phone calls, and just at the end of it, you're drained, because now you're dealing with the emotions of your own emotions. You're dealing with the opinions of everybody else, and then you're still trying to take care of your person, right? And one thing that Miss Bradley said very clearly is like, do what you're doing, and like shut down all the exterior noise. And for me, it was reassuring to know that, hey, I would never make a bad choice for my mother, and I would never make a bad choice for, her health and her wellness and everything else. And I have to trust that if I'm with her the majority of the time, I'm the one that can make the best choices. And while everybody else can have an opinion, I need to kind of rest assured that the decisions are making collectively, even with her included, are the right ones. And if people want to be upset, let them be upset. It's okay. They'll get over it, you know. So
Right.
yeah, letting caregivers know that you're also the person that everybody's going to call, or everybody might just blame when something goes wrong. But it's okay. It's okay. Just know that you trust yourself, and you trust your person, and you trust all the advisors that you have, whether it's counselors or doctors and everything else. Collectively, you're making the best choice, and you're doing the best you can do for your person. And I
Mhm.
think that that's a powerful message, and I'm glad that she shared that. It was really reassuring.
It was reassuring for me as well. I'm glad that you brought that up because I hear a lot. You're speaking to him too hard. He has two pair of hearing aids and he refuses to wear either. So,
Right?
you know,
The simplest things that people don't
the
understand.
simple things. Yeah. And, even to this morning, we went to church and I was helping him down the stairs and he wants to hustle, but it was raining. I ain't letting you hustle down those stairs. And the lady was like, let him help himself. He wants to be independent. And I said, thank you
Hmm.
so much. I appreciate your input. But I did
Ag-
me.
Exactly,
I
because
did
if he
me.
falls,
I did me.
the consequences of another fall. Like, well, my mother's story. Like, if my mother
Yes.
falls, I have a panic attack because she is brittle. Unfortunately, well, I don't want to call that on her, but she is brittle. If she falls, something is breaking. So I am not interested in having her fall anywhere.
Yeah, I'm not
At no
interested
time.
myself. I'm not interested in falling my own self because I have to take care of me so I can take care of him. So
That
I
too.
figured I needed to do what was best for both of us so we can cross the street and get in the car so I could do everything I needed to do so I can rush on this interview today.
Mhm.
Yes. Fair.
But but at the end of the day, one of the nuggets that I want the takeaway for individuals that are caregivers. It could be the children that are taking care of their parents, the grandparents that are taking care of their children or their grandchildren, because it goes to that point. Or and even the step in caregivers, the friends along the way that creates your village. Because I do have, that village, and I'm so grateful for it. The rotating cycle needs to pause and take some time to do whatever they need to do for them. If it's quiet time, book time, TV time, party time, lounge time, retail therapy, whatever it takes, you really need to do that. And I'm learning that for myself because sometimes I just figure I could do it all. And I'm learning I don't have to.
Yeah.
I really don't have to. So I appreciate that I don't have to.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah.
Kiana?
Well, I am not a caregiver. But I'm glad that you came to that conclusion because no one has been telling you to do that. Anyways, no, but seriously though, I do think that that's really important, and that to me, even though I'm not a caregiver, was the biggest takeaway to me is that not only that you can't, like, you shouldn't do it all. I don't think anyone can do it all by themselves. I think the term "it takes a village to raise a child" extends to whatever form of caregiving you're doing. You cannot, as a human being,
Hmm.
be everything for everyone all the time.
Hmm.
Someone will be put on the back burner, someone will be neglected, and that person is probably going to be you. And
Yeah.
or you won't be able to give as much as you want to give to everything. So you'll still be in all of these things, but you won't be able to give
Mhm.
100% because you're stretching yourself so thin. And that to me is like not only a recipe for burnout, but a recipe for like a mental break. I don't want that for anyone because then
Neither do I.
you can't take care of anyone. at that point, not even yourself. So that's why I thought it was so important for Miss Bradley to come in and encourage caregivers. Yes, we understand your job is important, but it doesn't have to be isolating. It doesn't have to be a lonely job. You can share your burdens and frustrations with other people. Find your support group. Even if there's people
Yes.
who don't understand, don't talk to them about this anymore. Find people who will understand. Reach out to people in your caregiver support group, or whether that's officially like the government sponsored caregiver support group, or whether you find a support group of caregivers in your own life. You need someone to be able to not only lay, the burdens on someone else. I need a minute. I need an hour. I need a weekend. I need you to help me. Even if it's not that, even if it's just to talk and vent your frustrations, I think that that is so important. And I'm really glad that Miss Bradley came in here to encourage caregivers that while your job is important, your priority is yourself. So that was
Yes.
my takeaway of it.
Yeah. It's something
Yeah.
you just mentioned there in terms of like not being a caregiver yet. I
Mhm.
think one of the things, like just generally for the listening audience to, kind of tune into, and it ties a little bit into like our previous episode as well on finances,
Mhm.
is the preparation for this time of your life. Because
Yes.
in the planning of my life, even as a young person coming up and everything, I didn't anticipate or plan for a time when I would need to be a caregiver. And
Mhm.
for a lot of us, especially in our community, in our culture, we take care of our parents. We don't necessarily put our parents in homes unless absolutely necessary and this kind of thing. So, um, one thing that I would have liked to do is to prepare my life and my finances and everything for this period of time, because it changes lots of things. It's just like having kids. So, you know, I think some of us, if we want to go down this road of being a caretaker for our parents when they get older, even, whoever is close to you,
Mhm.
some preparation, or, when you get into it, finding out the resources is necessary. Finding out, like, which organizations are in support, which medical institutions are there. As Camilla said earlier, what activities you can put them into, not
Mhm.
put them into, because again, I'm talking as if they're children, right? But what activities are available for
Mhm.
them to choose from to do, because it gets boring. I know that for my mom, like, she's just bored. She just wants to talk all day, and I am busy and I have to work, and you just don't have the time to just sit and chat. But you would encourage or try to find things and activities to keep them busy. All these things I didn't necessarily prepare for in advance, and I think putting some thought into that, like, what is it going to take for me to actually become a caretaker, and then also do it in a way that's sustainable, you know um, even in preparation, because at some point all of us will kind of cross paths with this type of experience
Mhm.
if we intend to take care of our parents
Mhm.
ourselves. Yeah.
And I'm glad that you mentioned the finance episode because I'm curious about whether y'all did your homework. Did your money
I've been doing
date?
mine.
I had started, but what had happened was
What had
life.
happened was,
Life keep happening.
well,
Oh
I,
my
I,
But
I
yeah,
definitely
I put a
started mine
spreadsheet
because
together. Yeah.
they definitely go hand in hand. And there are things that I want to do that I said that I can't do, or I can do, or how it is that I can do. And in order for me to meet certain goals, I have 3 goals that I've set for myself for by the end of the year, that I need to get rid of certain bills. So once I
yes.
stick to this plan and no one tempts me with a trip or an
The purses.
activity
Yeah.
or
It's really been hard
yeah.
too because I just had my second money date like 2 days ago.
Look at
Um,
you.
thank you. But what it
I had
taught me
one.
is even I listen, this isn't a competition. What it taught me was that, I mean, preparing for caregiving is so long term, but even in my more current goals of the things that I need to pay off and the debts that I'd like to get rid of before the year is over, is I need to make more money. I was looking at the areas. I was like, where can I chop here? Can I chop there? Can I, just so that I can start reaching my goals and then make more goals? And I was like, even if I chop
All of
everything,
them.
I need to make more money. So that was very eye opening for me personally about making that, doing these money dates and having those goals. So that's been on, trying to find a little, I don't know, something to reach my goals. But it has been very, very eye opening, because whether I think your goals are short term, like it seems ours are at the moment, or long term, like planning to be a caregiver in the future, we have to understand where we are currently financially.
Exactly. Yes.
Um,
You have to
and so
build a
that's
bridge from where you are to where you need to be.
exactly.
Absolutely.
So even if you're not where you want to be, which full disclosure, I'm not where I want to be at the moment, that's okay, because I know where I am. And knowing where I am can help me understand the journey to get to wherever it is that I need to be.
Yeah.
Um, so I would also encourage people to do that. Go back and look at not only the caregivers episode, but of the finances episode, because those can go hand in hand with you, with each other.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And
Because
and and other thing
finances
about
make life
caregivers
easier. Yeah.
that I want to mention about getting prepared. Not only the finance, you definitely need to look at the entire finance ones, because there are other things
Mhm.
like estate planning, which is
Right.
important for having a caregiver. You know, how to deal with the properties of your parent, your loved one, whomever. You know, that their finances can affect your finances, because it costs money to be a caregiver.
Hmm.
And
Oh
you don't
yeah.
want to have to always be spending your money, even if it's your loved one. Loving them doesn't mean that you want to spend your all your life savings on them, because you need to prepare for your own self. So
Right.
it
Yeah.
takes a lot. So you need to, they as a caregiver preparing, you need to make sure the loved one that you're caring for, that they're in order. So
Yeah.
you can also help them stay in order, and you can be in order. So it's a domino effect.
Hmm.
Yeah.
It's
Crystal, what
definitely
were
a
you
chain
gonna
of
say?
events.
No, I was just saying that money makes it so much easier. Like,
Hmm.
money gives us options and
Yes.
Yeah.
choices. So yes, we try to say, well, money isn't everything, but if you had it, you would be able to, get someone to stay with your loved one for a day, so that you can have that, wellness day for yourself, or
Hmm.
even just run errands. Because sometimes it's just the simple things, like it's
Hmm.
not even something major, but you need finances to be able to do that. And God forbid there's any emergency with your caregiver, I mean, with the person that you're taking care of, your finances is such a big piece to making your life more
Right.
sustainable, more comfortable, more, everything. Because even if we talk about activities, you know, yeah, you want to do activities, but that costs money as well. So,
Yep.
every single detail of our lives, money is like the factor usually in a lot of our decision making. Like, it's whether or not you have the finances to support that decision.
Hmm.
So I agree. We need to definitely get on our money days and get our finances in order, get our family finances in order, and get our caretakers, finances, and everything to make sure that we can do what we want to do in our hearts. Because I think our hearts are all in the right place,
Hmm.
but it's oftentimes you're just constrained by lack of finances.
Right.
Yes. But as a caregiver, I'm telling all the caregivers out there, because at the end of the day, to be a caregiver is not just taking care of the person. You have to remember you're a caregiver for yourself.
Hmm.
Mm,
The caregiving starts with you.
Hmm.
So
yeah.
take care of yourself to do whatever it is that you need to do to build that bridge that will take you from where you are to where you need to be in your finances, in your health, and health as well. That is the most treasured thing. So you really have to do everything that it takes to take care of your health. And maybe being Mental Health Awareness Month, don't let it just be a month thing. Make it an everyday thing.
Mhm.
And do you guys have anything else to add on? Because I want to give a snippet of, talking about health and what's coming up next.
I was actually going to say we've talked about caregiving, we've talked about finances. I was just going to ask you, but you look like you're already on that page, what
Yes.
our viewers and listeners have to look forward to next Sunday.
For next Sunday, we have a phenomenal professional that is going to come in and talk to us about trauma. Oh, I mean, I've never seen someone so excited to talk about trauma. And I know that sounds like, what? Someone's excited to talk about trauma? Yes, she is. Because all of us have experienced trauma in some form of the other. And we take our I don't want to give away the show. So let me pause and just say tune in because it is a delicious conversation. It has so many different parts to it. I really need you guys to tune in to and for us to talk about trauma and hey, and it's also the ideal month, May.
It
So
is.
tune in next Sunday at 5 p.m. right here. Let's talk about you.
Yes,
Ladies,
please tune
anything
in.
else you wanted to add?
I would just say that sometimes trauma seems like a little bit of an icky topic, and I was a little surprised when I was like, she seems so excited about it. But it is a really, really great episode, and she talks about trauma in, I'm not giving away too much, in
No, don't
ways
give away because we still have to
I
do our
won't.
recap. So
I
save it.
won't. She was talking about trauma in ways that you won't necessarily think about it.
Mhm.
And I'll just leave it at that. That trauma
Good.
doesn't always have to be from a person. It could be from an environment, for instance.
Yes.
So I would just say keep that in mind. Stay tuned. Come in with an open mind because I know sometimes things that have to do with mental health make people a little taken aback
Mhm.
and nervous, but I would just say to come in with an open mind, ready to genuinely learn a few things because I would say that this was very eye-opening to me. So I think that it would be very, very beneficial to whoever watches it, whether you think you have trauma or not.
That's
Crystal?
right. Yes, I'm excited about it because though I don't get the same giddiness about the trauma.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't have that same emotional response, but
Yes.
I feel like it's a necessary conversation. And as we know here on Let's Talk About You, we're really emphasizing for persons to have more deep conversations, meaningful
Yes,
conversations, and we're hopeful that through our show that people are encouraged to talk more and speak to your people and have conversations because so much is left up in the air. We don't know what people are thinking, we don't know where they're at, we don't know what where their mind is, and then all of a sudden we don't have them with us anymore and we don't understand why. And it's really stemming from us not making it a habit or making it a practice to have conversations. So I'm hopeful that persons will tune in, of course, to the show to hear the information, but then also take it away and bring it into your own living rooms, into your own phone calls with your own people to talk more about
absolutely.
these topics.
Yes,
Yeah.
these are conversations. And I just want to say thanks to my team because you ladies are phenomenal, Kia, and I'm glad that you're able to be with us today. And I'm glad that you're holding us accountable to those money dates. Um, for us to, as I said, we have these conversations, and I'm glad that you guys are excited and want to, share your gifts and your crafts to allow me the opportunity to have these conversations with our listening audience and we can share beyond. And I love the fact that we decided to have our reflections and recap because it definitely makes a difference. I was really anxious today because I'm like, I need to do my show. You guys need to hurry up. So I made it so I got it all done. Got it all done. So I'm so glad. I'm grateful for you ladies. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. See y'all next week.
See y'all next week. Thank you guys. Mothers, have a wonderful Mother's Day. I am so grateful that, for everything that you've done for your loved ones and you continue to do on a regular basis. And remember, you don't have to necessarily give birth to have that nurturing, loving factor. It's just a gift that God bless all women with. So, with that being said, have a phenomenal rest of the week. Have a phenomenal rest of the day. And as always, stay blessed on purpose.
Your dream come to life. That is the mission behind Kiki Creations. We're more than a decorating service. We put our all into taking in every detail of your vision and transforming that into breathtaking events. Whether you're celebrating a wedding, retirement, throwing a massive gala, or having an intimate dinner, let Kiki Creations create the moment of your dreams. Celebrate love, laughter, and the moments that really matter with Kiki Creations.